Hey guys, so it's 9/11 and it's 17-year anniversary, which is not 15, it's not 20, it's not 25. It's just 17, Um 9/11 is extremely personal for a lot of us. I'm not trying to virtue signal on this to try to make me out to be some kind of patriot or certainly to drum up business or anything like that. So, I posted a tribute video on my business Facebook page uh, after midnight last night, and that's it. Because this is very personal. It was a cataclysmic, life changing day for a lot of people. So, although I am taken up with a lot of emotions about um, how it changed my life after, today is about those people that were lost on that day. So, uh, if you guys haven't heard the story about me reaching out to the New York Fire Department, I'll go ahead and share that with y'all. By the way, this is going on Patreon. This is not ever going to get released in public. I mean, there's less than 250 of you guys and gals. Maybe there's a gal in there. I don't fucking know. Uh, so this is, the trust tree, if you will. So after I had gotten my platoon, and I was given my platoon after 9/11. I was waiting in line. We had a bunch of guys come out on the E7 list, and there just was more platoons. There was more dudes that made E7 in the battalion than there were platoons coming open. So I got moved to the R&D shop. I was the Force Modernization NCO for 1st Ranger Battalion. And just gonna hang out for however long, until a platoon came open. So anyway, platoon once Alpha Company got alerted, got the warning order, and it was just before Christmas that we were gonna that Alpha Company was going to be the company that was going to replace 3rd Ranger Battalion that had jumped into Afghanistan, and that we were going to conduct a RIP just before Christmas. So Alpha Company, for whatever reason, the powers that be decided that they didn't need a whole Ranger Battalion in Afghanistan, so they were going to replace the battalion with a single company, and then they replaced our single company with a battalion, and it was a battalion rotation until they prepped for the invasion of Iraq. So we were an anomaly in that we deployed with just the battalion headquarters slice and our company. So anyway, Alpha Company, which is the company that I had come from, which is why I keep saying we and our, even though I'm an HHC. Alpha Company got the warno that they were going to be the ones replacing 3rd Bat, and they had a platoon sergeant that was very, very, very weak. Really, really nice guy, but very weak, not technically and tactically proficient. And they literally had an intervention once they realized that war was upon them. They fired this guy, and the battalion commander, who is now in charge of SOCOM down in Tampa, he's a 4-star. He called me into his office and he said, "Hey, we need a platoon sergeant, and you're not at the top of the list to get a platoon by sequential order, but you are the only E7 in the battalion that can fight a vehicle uh, platoon, an RSOV, Ranger Special Operations Vehicle Platoon, meaning that I had knowledge in the tactics, techniques, and procedures about employing a Jeep and bike section. I had knowledge of the big guns and how to employ assault by fire, attack by fire, support by fire positions, and then basic defensive blocking roles, a little bit of ground mobility, vehicle recovery. All these niche skills that you have to have when you're operating on trucks. The other two Ranger companies were straight paratrooper. They didn't have any tactical vehicles, so they didn't have the requisite knowledge for what we were getting into. And basically, at that time, Third Ranger Battalion after they had jumped in, they had done some ground mobility stuff with borrowed Humvees from Special Forces operational stocks that were located in the desert in Kuwait. They shipped the vehicles from Kuwait over there and gave the Rangers Humvees, which were not on the Ranger IMTO at the time. There was no Humvees assigned to the Ranger Battalion. And so Third Bat had some GMV, some modified Special Forces Humvees, and they were driving them around. And we were going to replace Third Bat, so we need to be able to conduct mobility operations. Anyway, I'm rambling. So now my battalion commander is telling me that I'm the only guy with the requisite skill sets to be able to take this job, and that I'm going to be one of the 3 platoon sergeants from 1st Ranger Battalion that is going to rifle platoon sergeants that is going to take a Ranger element into combat, and that I will be boots on the ground in Afghanistan before 2002. So that was a huge emotional burden for me or whatever. And like I said, this today is about the guys. It's not about me, and it's not about what happened after, but I'm setting the conditions here because if you go back to 9/11, I was sitting at home with my wife when I finally got off work, and we're watching the ticker on Fox News, and there was just so much stuff to report that they didn't really come out and say it, like an anchor didn't say it, but it scrolled past me on the TV screen, and it said that over 300 firefighters were unaccounted for. And that number was just appalling to me. It was shocking. The news media had not been edited for maximum shock value. They hadn't gotten the good footage out yet. So to the layperson, there was really not a lot of understanding about what was going on down there, in real time. And, in the days and weeks after, we realized there wasn't really anybody coming out of the pile. And that the vast majority of those MIAs were in fact killed in action. So one night, I cracked open a couple beers and I said, man, we're going to fight for these people. And I thought about how tragic that was, that as a firefighter, they couldn't get payback. It wasn't their job. It wasn't in their lane. And so I picked up the phone and I called the operator and I said, give me the number to the New York Fire Department. The operator's like, which number? It's like, I don't know, any number. So I called and I started a series of phone chaining where I got a hold of an information desk and I said, I want to talk to guys. I need the numbers to firehouses that were involved in 9/11. They're like, well, they all were. I said, well, ones that had lost guys or whatever. And I ended up getting a public information officer, and he had a real thick, uh, New York accent. And he's like, yeah, and he starts laying out numbers of firehouses. He's like, yeah, this squad took a hit, and this ladder company, and this battalion, and I was jotting all this down, and about an hour after I had started this, I had the telephone numbers to some of the most heavy hit firehouses in the city, and I started calling these guys, just straight up cold calling them. I said, "Hey, man, you guys don't know me, but I represent a group of people, and I can't tell you when, and I can't tell you where, but we're about to embark on, not, I didn't say a great crusade, but I let these guys know in no uncertain terms that I was going to be the implement of their fucking justice." And I said, it's going to be important. I've got young, impressionable guys that are going to see some really, really bad stuff. Young, impressionable guys. I was fucking 28. um, and they need to keep their eye on the ball. And I said, if you have things that are close to you, are close to guys that were lost, things that you want to share, to let us know, give us a piece of these men whose lives were taken away. I said, I don't care if it's fucking dirty underwear out of a guy's locker that died, And I didn't really understand the fucking Pandora's box. Hate to use the pun, but what the shitstorm that I was really creating. Dude, boxes started flowing in. These guys put cardboard boxes up in the firehouse, and they said, hey, what's this? And this is donation box. Any memorabilia, anything, patches, shirts, personal effects from guys, letters, flags, like anything, put it in the box. I started getting huge shipments, like big cardboard boxes full of swag. And I started passing it out to my guys. Every day I would bring the next truckload from home to work, and I would start passing it out. And so when we rolled into Afghanistan, our uniform was blue shirts under DCUs for the most part. And so that the guys, so that we didn't forget. And I thought about that a lot, So this is one of my shirts. It's a 9/11 memorial shirt that the guys made right after. It says 5/5/80/87 on the side. And it's got Ladder Company 3. And then the date's 9/11. So this was not a firehouse shirt from before the day, if you will. 3 truck. What I didn't know, and I wore this shirt downrange in combat for years. What I didn't know was that 3 truck, the actual truck, had gotten smushed in the pile and had been partially recovered, and it is the truck that sits inside the 9/11 memorial. So those images are very, very powerful to me. And so today is about remembering these guys and their selfless sacrifice. I got 2 bracelets along the way. One of them was almost destroyed. It was cut almost all the way through from wear. And I ended up giving it back to a firefighter to return to the dude's widow. And I had worn that thing downrange probably 10 or 11 deployments. And so this is the only one that I have left. These were both given to me by firefighters with different stories. So I'll talk to you guys about the one that I don't have anymore first. So several years into the war, 2004 time frame, I'm at Fort Bragg, and I am grabbing dinner and cocktails at a place, and they're having a wake for some dudes in 3rd Special Forces Group that got killed. And it was just random that I happened to be in that restaurant when the memorial drinking fest came in. There was a lot of like biker dudes in there, motorcycle club looking guys. And so this dude comes to get another bar, and they're loud, they're tearing it up. And this guy comes over to get some more shots. And I said, "Hey man, what are you guys doing?" And he's like, their colors, they were a FDNY motorcycle club. And apparently this ODA that had lost this guy had done a trip up to New York prior to their invasion of Iraq, I believe. And they had actually gone and toured a firehouse and, or the firehouse had sent them some swag. And after the trip, they had gone back up there and posted some pictures and given them a deployment flag or something. But anyway, there was this relationship between this ODA and these firehouses. And so anyway, a dude that had gone up there to New York had died downrange. He got filled in or blowed up. Can't remember. And this firefighter motorcycle club had done a road trip from New York down there when they were putting the guy's name on the USASOC memorial wall or something, or maybe it was for the funeral itself. I can't remember. But anyway, they're having this burn down, and it's this consolidated thing between 3rd Special Forces Group and these bikers. And that's where I met this old man. And this guy had medically retired out from the black lung. It had already started. He was an old fucker anyway, and one of his mates, he was wearing a bracelet for one of his mates who was a battalion chief. A guy's name was Joe Grislak. And Joe was outside when Tower 2 fell, and the first tower fell. And their radio repeaters were up on the roof of the tower, and so they lost comms. And he's trying to talk to his company commanders, and he's trying to order an evacuation because they realize now that the structural integrity of the building had been compromised, and the one that had been hit lower had more weight. It crumbled first, but the other one was going to do the same thing. It just didn't crumble because it didn't have the load on it because the plane had struck it higher up on the floors, right? But he's figuring all this out in real time, and he's like, "Yep, this fucker's going." So he's trying to order an evacuation to get his people out of there. And none of the radios are working because they all went down with the tower. And so he ran into the building, and he ran up the stairs, and he was grabbing dudes by the Scott tanks and telling them, "You can't help these people. You got to go. You got to get out. The other tower's fallen. You've got to get out of this building." And that's the last dude that saw him alive. He he just kept going up, throwing firefighters down the stairs. There was dudes, lots of dudes that lived because they were in the first 10 stories going up, and they came across Joe Grislak, and he told them to get the fuck out, and he wasn't going to come out of that building until all his firefighters were out of there, and he got crushed. And this dude told me the story, and he had been at the academy with this guy. This was a mate, man. This was his best friend. And he said, "Let me ask you a question, son." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Are you going back over there?" I said, "Well, yeah." He said, "I want you to wear this. I want you to wear this, and I want you to make those motherfuckers pay." So I put that bracelet on my wrist, and I wore it. Wore it on every hit. Uh, Chief had a wife, Joanne. He was 52 years old. He was the battalion chief of 48 Battalion in Brooklyn, and he had been a firefighter for 28 years when he died. Senior dude, man. I still don't have as many years on the planet as this guy did. He led a full life. He was good. He was a good dude. And then I don't want this damn thing to go too long. You guys need to be looking at your shit in your own way, but I'm not going to tell you guys a story about how I got this one. But John Burgeon was in Rescue 5. Rescue 5 or Squad Squad 5 sent 12 dudes into the building that day. John was an older cat too. He was about 37 years old. Just one of those big, beefy, strong firefighters that was always, jogging and shit, trying to keep his cardio up because they were just so massive from just, sleeping, eating, and lifting. And he was 39 years old. He graduated high school in 79, and dude had 5 or 6 kids, 3 daughters and 2 or 3 sons. And he had done a couple different service jobs. He had been a court officer and some other shit after getting out of high school, and he went into the FDNY 6 years after he graduated, and went through the pipeline in '85. Started out in a ladder company on the east side of Manhattan, Ladder 6, and then he ended up trying out for Squad, and becoming a rescue guy, doing the scuba and the hazmat and confined space rescue and all that bullshit. So Squad obviously went in, and 12 dudes 12 dudes went in there, and only one guy got rescued. The other ones died on the pile, and I think of the 11, they found the remains, some type of remains of 6, and 5 dudes they never even got a scrap of DNA back from. So John touched a lot of people's lives. He was one of these entrepreneurial guys. A lot of dudes, people that are firefighters or police officers, because of their service job, they can't make really enough money to be really comfortable. So they always got a side thing going on. And John had lots of different side gigs and stuff. He was going to open up a bar. That was his dream, is he wanted to be a bar owner, but he was always doing community service and volunteering for, dad chaperone stuff or stuff with his daughters, and, having, his house was kind of, block party central. And he had a 4th of July celebration at his joint that had 1,000 people in attendance. I wish I could have been there, and I wish I could have met him. But yeah, that's just 2 stories. That's 2 stories that I know of about men that I've never met that were passed to me by their comrades. And I lost more people than I can count. But somehow that's how we handle things. We don't, we compartmentalize our own loss. I still haven't cried because my dad died, but it's easier to pressure release when you think about the loss of others. It's safer because you don't know these people. So 9/11 is very, very hard for me because it's a day that it's okay for me to mourn, and I'm mourning people that I didn't know, because that's easier and safer than mourning those that I did know. So you'll never hear I want to keep my business and my personal decision on how I choose to commemorate 9/11 completely separate. But there you go. That's all you guys are going to hear out of me today. I'm going to put on my 3 truck shirt and commemorate the lives that were lost. Tomorrow I can think about how it changed my life and affected those around me or whatever. But today is about those guys. It's about those first responders. It's about those civilians. That's it. So if you know a story of a 9/11 guy or whatever, find somebody that's going through their day to day like it's a regular day, and tell them, these people, John and Joe, they live in our memories, and when nobody has direct memories of them, they live in the stories of their lives lived, their accomplishments, and their deaths. So that's it. This isn't Chuck from Press Check. This is just Chuck, and it's 9/11. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow.